University of St. Thomas does a wonderful job in looking at the management side and the leadership side of what it takes to move organizations forward. I like to think the leadership fundamentals, as part of the mini MBA, gives people a lens through which they can look at both leadership and management.
What's important about the mini nonprofit is that it's really designed to help people understand across the organization the different pieces of a nonprofit.
It has really given me a high-level knowledge of all the operational things that are going on.
And that's really what the mini is designed to do, is to help people understand nonprofit accounting, nonprofit finance, understand development, understand marketing for a nonprofit.
If you're really trying to figure out career-wise if nonprofit is for you or what that even just means, I think it's a great high-level introduction.
We give them an opportunity to understand that so they can take what the process is supposed to look like and go back to their organization and help effectively move the process forward.
As we look at some of the challenges in nonprofits these days, building a cohesive team, being adaptable, and looking at change are three of the challenges, and those takeaways from the session I think are the important ones.
We had a great, very active, participatory class. It's interesting when you're in that classroom setting, you share so much more with each other, and you can say, oh, I know more about HR than I know about fundraising or whatnot, and then there was a lot of group activities, so you really got to learn what people's strengths were.
The ideal learner, I would say, for this particular program is anyone that wants to refresh their skills around leadership fundamentals.
I would say somebody who's in a nonprofit who wants to understand the bigger picture, who really wants to understand, hey, I do this work in finance, but I really don't know much about development, or I don't really know much about program and evaluation. And so that you have an opportunity to understand what it is your peers are doing and how it all comes together to coalesce to make an effective nonprofit.
It really kind of rolled me forward into what the business world looks like today, even in a nonprofit perspective. These professors, if not, were really active, and you could tell they were definitely interested in the subject matter. That was their passion.
I consider leadership a strategic tool, and I believe, if anything, these days nonprofits especially need that, as they are held more and more accountable to outcomes. And so if leadership is a strategic tool, then how can we take the passion people have to serve the common good and turn that into a passion to lead people who want exactly the same thing?
And so that's what's so amazing about the mini, is you get to learn enough about everything that even if you don't get it all, you can go back to your organization and say, hey, I was in class last night, so that you get that dialogue going. And I think that's what's really important about the program, creating conversations and dialogues in organizations to really enliven and strengthen the nonprofit sector and nonprofit organizations.